I left this place on the last occasion fully surcharged, motivated, and inspired. And trust me, there are not many occasions when you come face to face with people who are in this elite category. Joint Secretary and above from civil services and from the defense fraternity, similar higher level. So from every consideration, this place today is a powerhouse, rich human resource that has capacity to bring about change, and a change that can impact affirmatively our governance, ensure our security environment. General Sahab, distinguished members of the faculty, and all those who have come here in the course. Before I start, I interacted with the journal and the faculty and narrated them a situation which I faced while I was Governor State of West Bengal. A group of participants in a course could spare valuable time to call on the Governor State of West Bengal. I happened to be there in that capacity. It was indicated to me that members of the course drawn from very senior positions in civil and military, when they go out of the country, have the benefit of wiser counsel as their spouses cannot accompany them. But this doesn't happen in the country. I was not able to rationalize it. The general tried to find some rationale, but we have agreed to discuss the matter further. From every consideration, I can assure you, if your spouse is with you, you perform much better. I am revealing it out of personal experience. A delightful moment for me to be here again. Your motto, I studied it very carefully, has been very well thought out. As a matter of fact, it encapsulates what you all are expected to do. It says, Buddhir Yasham Balam Tase. It is translated in different forms in English, but I'll take only the two. Wisdom is the strength. I think there can be no caveat on this. Wisdom is the strength, provided wisdom is exploited. But wisdom, if it happens in the shape of an idea which is parked in your mind, is not acted upon, then perhaps it may be your weakness, and your capacity to contribute to humanity may get diminished. So one my suggestion, if an idea occurs to you, an idea for innovation, idea to try something big, if you think out of the box, your brain is the last place to be a parking slot for such an idea. Not executing that idea, apart from being personal injustice to you, is larger injustice to the society which we are committed to serve. बुद्धि तलवार से अधिक शक्तिशाली है. This has been demonstrated time and again. I need not dilate on this. This is your motto. This venerable maxim serves as an enduring reminder of the paramount importance of knowledge and sagacity in fostering the empowerment of both individual and nations. Its relevance today is as never before, given the disruptive technology, impact in security and defense, and extremely challenging international environment. There is a paradigm shift. the age-old mechanism of defense, the age-old traditional barriers of land, air, and sea, they have yielded in favor of new emerging areas, invisible. That being so, we have to be ever prepared. NDC, if I look at the alumni who have benefited out of your courses and have contributed to national life, we have presently CDS, General Anil Chauhan, a very fine man in uniform. I had the benefit of his guidance, enlightened views when I was governor and he was GOC in chief in Fort William. He is presently CDS. He succeeded General Raut, who unfortunately left us in between on account of a tragic accident, was also from this institute. There have been many, including our current National Security Advisor. I don't want to go to the entire list to know all about it. But one thing that emanates from this is that your spine, which otherwise is very strong and well tested, when you get into defense or civil services, and the spine has a habit of getting weakened over the years, this is one place where your spine is strengthened. Your spinal strength here is given a new lease of life, and you are more ably equipped to contribute as compared to others who have not had the benefit to be here. This nation's apex institution for the comprehensive study of national security and strategic challenges affords opportunities to unleash your energy, talent, and give solutions to the problems that stare us by way of writing on the wall. We presently have it at national level and at global level. There has been, I wouldn't say sea change in or paradigm shift. No comparison at all. The kind of scenario which existed from security point of view a decade or two ago is having no relevance today. The challenges are emanating from sources that now are quite different. Conventional warfare mechanism has yielded, and war is no longer fought these days on the frontier. We are home to 1/6 of humanity. We are the largest democracy. When our rise has been absolutely phenomenal, the challenges have multiplied manifold. We need to be alive to them. Capacity building through different well thought out programs is empowering the nation and its individuals, enabling enlightened decision making and resilient leadership. I have no doubt, if the decision maker is not aware or is not awakened to the challenges or to modern technology, then surely evolution of policy will not be of a kind that can do justice to such a large nation. And therefore, there has to be extensive mechanism to make people who formulate policies to be thoroughly cognizant of the changes we witness in technology. They have to be awakened, they have to be aware. Only an informed mind from that perspective can contribute qualitatively to evolution of a policy that can come to the aid of the nation and nurture our security environment, secure it, sustain it, preserve it. Your performance for last 6 decades has been remarkable. But now there is need for a makeover, changeover. That is a global demand. The institute now has to be one of the front-ranking institutes in the world. And that can happen when you really go ahead as compared to others in contributing in adoption of policies, adoption of mechanisms, and technology. Deeper understanding of strategic, economic, scientific, political, and industrial aspects have now become integral to national defense. But most of us, in my category, not yours, have no idea where technology has taken us. There are not many places where I can reflect convincingly on the importance of quantum computing. Not even countries in double digit are engaged in this activity, but our Bharat is. Relevance of quantum computing can never be overstated. The government has made a good budget for it. We have a quantum commission. We need to go ahead with it. When we talk of the subject I am required to deal with, green hydrogen. Now, green hydrogen, apart from bringing about equality, taking care of inequities, containing our damage to climate, is something which will revolutionize the entire mechanism. Our country has that mechanism in place. Around 19,000, 20,000 crores have already been earmarked. Green hydrogen would mean by 2030 we will be in a position to bring about fresh investment of about 6 lakh crores and generate 8 lakh opportunities for our youth. That will bring about inclusiveness. That will be highly equitable to development. And that will impact the climate so favorably that everyone will benefit out of it. Such kind of understandings have to emanate from institutions like this. When an institution like this will engage into a brain-scratching situation, scratching much below the surface, delve deep into the situation, come out with a paper, then decision makers at the state level, central level, civil, military, diplomatic, they will come to know about it. And they will be able to factor this knowledge into policy formulation and consequential execution. We get motivated, inspired, only when we know that something is so useful to us. To give a very simple example, we know the importance of remote attached to a television because it helps us not to go to the television every time, we do it from a distance. That is at a crude street level. This one is highly refined. Earlier today, I had the privilege of addressing the 5th edition of Indo-Pacific Regional Dialogue at the Manekshaw Center in Delhi Cantonment. Few weeks ago, I had the great fortune to address the Chanakya Dialogue. And earlier to that, there have been 2 important such a think tank exercises in this country this year itself. One was the Raisina Dialogue. Honorable Prime Minister was there, so was the Italian leader. Then we had, for the first time, Indian Army initiating a dialogue where several chiefs of several other armies were present. Now, I am making this point because to have these 4 important dialogues in a single year in our country reflects rise of India, relevance of India. This was never before. And the subject of all these was dealing directly or indirectly with the disruptive technologies, bleeding technologies, how they can be utilized for welfare, and how can they be utilized to neutralize the menacing forces, that perniciously seek to destroy our ecosystem of peace. Inclusive growth. Our civilizational ethos have focused on it for several centuries. If we go into our historical perspective of more than 5,000 years, we'll find this principle, common thread. When we had G20, this was reflected. And this was because Vasudev Kutumbakam, that in a sense was motto also of G20. One earth, one family, one future. But look at what was done. And something which was accomplished by only Bharat and no other country had done before. It was our emphasis on inclusiveness at a global level, that we could have inclusion of African Union in G20. That was a remarkable success. For the first time, Global South voice, which was not being heard earlier, became very prominent. When the Prime Minister, in 2014, when he came to power, gave new dimension to our Look East policy. Look East policy was enunciated sometime in early 90s. Though it had nothing to do with it, but it happened immediately after I ceased to be a Union Minister and our government collapsed. But the Look East remained just Look East. Now it has become Act East. An Act East policy of Government of India is not confined to our frontiers only. When I attended at Phnom Penh the ASEAN meet, I came to know about it. It has a huge potential, and there's going to be a road connectivity which is by and large ready. So that's a second we have done. Third, the Prime Minister had the occasion to go to small islands in Pacific Ocean. He said, islands are small, their heart is big. For the first time, attention was paid to those small islands. That again is inclusiveness and equitable. Through inclusion, India wants to become a nation with global stature and global acknowledgement. COVID menace was non-discriminatory. It affected all nations. It affected all individuals, rich and high and mighty, poor, of any color, any creed, any sex, any religion. But while India was successfully battling COVID menace, we believed in inclusive approach and helped as many as 100 countries simultaneously with our vaccine. It has been a gratifying moment for me when I have been to visits abroad 3 times. Heads of state have said, we are grateful to Mr. Narendra Modi. During COVID, he could make vaccine available to us. That is again inclusiveness. If during G20 we could rediscover India, Middle East, Europe corridor, which was in existence in some form because of our genius ages ago in trading through the sea, that again is a part of global equitable system. As a matter of fact, if you analyze the wholesome impact of inclusiveness, it secures equitable way of life for one and all. Inclusiveness is antithetical to iniquitous conduct. And this government for last 10 years, I applaud it. I'm not a stakeholder in politics. I'm a stakeholder in governance. And I will not shy of applauding anything that has been highly impactful. Look at our women were in shackles when they used to go to kitchen, tears in their eyes. No one took care of them. but their empowerment has been so significant that there's a gas connection. I come from a state where women used to travel kilometers with a pitcher on their head to get water. Now we have a massive plan in implementation, and by and large already implemented. Har Ghar Nal. It was nothing short of inclusive response of the government when it thought every household must have toilet. Toilet is a facet attached to the dignity of a woman. Imagine the helpless condition of girls when they go to school and there is no separate toilet for them. This revolutionary change has taken place in this country. Another great facet of inclusive growth. Inclusive growth is the greatest asset to any nation in any field, including security and defense. There was a time when we could not step into a bank for an account. The manager will ask many questions. There was a time the manager would say, how much you will deposit? But just imagine in a country, now we have over 400 million bank accounts of women and others. Banking inclusion. This banking inclusion has been absolutely an explosion in the arena of growth. Now, just imagine all world leaders appreciating India for what? The World Bank president came here during G20. He said what India has done in digital situations in 6 years is not attainable in 47 years. The IMF president also reflected on this inclusion and said our digital transactions constitute 46% of global transactions. If we take it in statistics, our transactions have been 4 times that of US, UK, France and Germany taken together in 2022. But I am on a different point. Inclusive growth means the targeted person gets the relief and succor he or she deserves. We had a prime minister who, and I don't want to be critical of it, who could read the writing on the wall and said what we send from Delhi, only a small fraction of it reaches the people at large. But now, it is direct, transparent, no liaison agent, no middleman. This has happened. Look at the extent of inclusion. I come from a farmer's family. As on date, more than 2,60,000 crore rupees have gone to the farmers direct. More than 100 million farmers. They are getting it 3 times a year. I am not on what the government can do, what the service delivery can do, but I am that the farmer is fully equipped with banking inclusion, technological penetration, that he is prepared to receive it. He receives it. A great achievement. And this has accounted for a growth which we never imagined. In 2022, we had the occasion to be 5th largest global economy, overtaking the UK and France. Could we ever imagine a few years ago when we were part of Fragile Five? We were one of those countries that were taken to be burdened on the global economic system. We have traversed in a decade from being Fragile Five to Big Five global economies and one of the fastest growing economy at that scale, major economies. By 2030, from all indications, we would be the 3rd largest global economy, and in the process we'll overtake Japan and Germany. Now, all these achievements are on account of the balanced, equitable, inclusive growth which the nation has seen. There was a time when the growth used to be pyramidal. Those at the top level will receive benefit. But now it is not the case. The growth is like a plateau. The facilities in village, to the extent internet is concerned, is nearly the same as in the towns, metros. Same electricity, same road, same connectivity. If a person can work from home in a metro, he or she can easily work from her village also. This is the big change that has taken place. All I'm suggesting is that you have very thoughtfully chosen a subject which touches every facet of human life. It is this kind of approach where things have taken place in a manner where growth takes place. I am not on a point that we had earlier Shatabdis and Rajdhanis, now we have Vande Bharat, we have other trains, we have Namo train also, rapid rail. But just imagine those of you who are aware of NCR, how cumbersome, how painful it was to go to Meerut. How many work hours were lost? What kind of psychic impact it had on the vulnerable sections? Those who could go in their own vehicle at least had the satisfaction of getting the AC on. They could put the music on. But that facility was not for ordinary men. And now, world-class transformational mechanism of transport is available. Again, the same thing. I had the occasion to preside Rajya Sabha on 21st September, a historic day, epochal event. For 3 decades, efforts were made, but there could not be women reservation in Lok Sabha and legislatures. But on 21st September, we had that gratifying moment. Vertical and horizontal reservation for women was provided. That again will secure inclusive growth. We are doing justice to 50% of humanity. They are entitled. That is another step that has been taken. I don't think that 3 decades ago we could think of, or at least during my time when I was in Sainik School, Chittorgarh, it was last in my contemplation that girls would be joining Sainik School. They are now admitted to Sainik School. We have our girls as fighter pilots. They are in combat positions. So such kind of a scenario, when it appears, then surely justice is the organic outcome. And that is happening. Let me give a thought to you. Because of this, there is emergence of an ecosystem that allows every individual to unleash his or her energy, exploit his or her potential to realize dream and aspirations. And that is why if you look at the startups or unicorns, we have the highest number in the world in 2022. It is of ordinary people. I am myself a product of education. But for education and scholarship in Sainik School, I would not have been here. I may not have been in the profession. This system, which has changed, has also impacted corporates. Now corporates are being controlled by minds from the village, minds on the basis of meritocracy. They are being controlled. If you examine the technological aspect of corporates, the traditional houses are lagging behind because our genius can get fully exploded in any walk of life because of affirmative ecosystem, because of governmental policies and initiatives. So, right now, we should take pride that inclusiveness is an aspect right from down the line to the top. And that will bring about a sea change when Bharat will be at 2047, and we all will have the occasion, those who will survive, I may not, to see it at pinnacle, a position it deserves. Already we have earned enough position by being third largest economy by 2030. I have no doubt, will be at peak because there is no challenge to human genius of this country. Let me give you a small illustration. People in the villages are not very well educated as such. But when it comes to internet use per capita consumption, in 2022, per capita consumption of this country was more than that of China and US taken together. That is the adaptability of our people in a magnetic manner to adopt technology. Therefore, I call upon you that technology of use to them, but the kind of technology, disruptive technologies, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, machine making, 3D, 6G. 6G for a man like me would mean my mobile phone will act faster. But you, concerned with, you are domain experts, you are policy makers, you will know the geometric dimension of 6G. India is one of the few countries, and the number is not in double digit, which has put the growth in two phases. The second phase is commercialization. This will crystallize by 2030. It is on account of inclusive approach that our sports persons are performing incrementally well. Every time there is a global contest, our number is rising. But number of our girl athletes, players is also on the rise. And this is also on account of the visionary leadership. In Tokyo we had our hockey team losing. The Prime Minister of the country talked to each and every member of the team. The girls were having tears in their eyes, but they had the greatest satisfaction that their leader, their democratic leader, was talking to each of them and received them in Delhi. That is what happened. The hand-holding approach is fundamental to any inclusive growth. I was Governor of the State of West Bengal in September 2019 when Chandrayaan 2 was supposed to land on moon. The landing was scheduled around 2 a.m. in September on a particular day. I, along with my wife, went to the Science City in Kolkata. I had before me 500 boys and girls. I had especially invited them. We reached too close. We really landed, but the landing was not soft. There was a pin drop silence. I looked in the eyes of boys and girls. Before I could say anything, there was a message from the Prime Minister: we have succeeded 96%. We'll make it next time. We have made it. On 23rd August, we created history. We created history because we became the first country on the planet to have landed a vehicle on the moon on the South Pole. And we left imprint of Tiranga and Shiv Shakti point there. The point I'm making is, some of you who are in 40s and above can have some idea what we were seeing then. I was part of the government. I was a union minister. To sustain our credibility, because our fiscal reserves, foreign reserves, were dwindling between 1 billion and 2 billion. This country, once known as Sone ki Chidiya, had to send its gold in physical form to be pledged to 2 Swiss banks. Now our foreign exchange reserves are around 600 billion. But I call upon a body like this, that since your core strength or core concern is security, economic nationalism is a fundamental facet of security. Just imagine if we were to analyze how much foreign exchange is being drained out of this country for kites, diyas, candles, furniture, curtains, just because the trader, the businessman thinks, I can get it cheaper there. That trader, business industry doesn't think that in the process you are really draining out blood out of our youth. If they were to buy local products, there will be employment, there will be entrepreneurship. And that is why the Honorable Prime Minister last week emphatically emphasized, be vocal for local. Now these things have to be done, not by government. Governments are tied to a global regime. There are global bodies that have to provide level playing fields at global level. We have to instill a sense in them. For inclusive growth, it is also imperative that we debrief some people who think their pocket power, their money power is good enough to buy natural resources. They will buy as much petrol, gas, use as much water they like because they can afford. They will have to be sensitized that you are trustees. You have to engage in optimal utilization of these resources. I don't want to take more time, but all I am suggesting is that this body is required to think now in a totally different format. Nowhere in the world research and development has taken place without corporate involvement. This is not happening in our country. Corporates do get enormous benefit out of research. We have to inculcate in them this kind of a system that they also come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll conclude by saying one thing. The greatest danger that is emanating for the nation as such is that some people whom we take as wise people, some people whom we accord iconic status, they unashamedly trade to gain political equity on ignorance of the people. If I have to put it, I'll use a word which is normally used for religion. It is nothing short of blasphemy on the social order that you exploit your position to gain mileage on the ignorance of others. So this body will have to rediscover itself. This body will have to devise mechanisms that empower our policy makers to be fully awakened and aware about challenges. If there is a defense person or person from civil services, he gets trained here, that will have geometric impact. He'll have the occasion to interact with his subordinates, with his seniors. When discussion takes place, he'll bring on the table a new facet of policy formulation. So I am sure it is for the rich elite faculty of this organization how the changeover, makeover takes place. But I look forward to a day, I am full of hope, optimism and confidence that that day is not far, when this body will be reckoned at a global level as being a nerve center, epicenter of a big change in technological world, will help us harness bleeding, disruptive technologies to secure our nation, thwart threats to its integrity, and that I am sure will happen. I am grateful for the time you all have given to me. Thank you so much.